it's you. Now it's gonna be you. No, I'm trying to do something. No, I'm trying to do something. Okay, third time's a charm. Let's do this. So today I just wanted to talk to you guys about, whether or not it's a good idea to buy a Floyd Rose. And honestly, it's the main type of guitar I use. It's my favorite type of setup on a guitar, but there definitely are some cons to owning one, and there's a lot of pros as well. But so today I was setting up this one right here on the wall, the Charvel Star that I have, and I was setting it up from the Lorarium tuning that we played, which is drop B flat, and putting it back in standard because I'm going to be using a different guitar in Lorarium. I'm going back to my Ibanez just because I really want to use the the Charvel for other things. So anyways, I was changing that back to E standard, and the whole time I was thinking like, man, this would be a good idea to show people why it might not be a good idea to have a Floyd Rose, or why, you might want one. It's all preference, of course. But anyways, as I was changing it back to standard tuning, there was a lot of things that I had to do, and it took me like an hour and a half because it just kept running into problems. The big thing is whenever you're switching back to a different tuning, you have to adjust the springs in the back. And let me grab the guitar so I can show you. Okay, so this is the guitar I was dealing with today, I was just telling you about. So it has the standard Floyd Rose trim, right? And so whenever I was changing the tuning from drop B flat back to standard, the string tension is gonna be different because when I'm in a low tuning like that, it does have more tension. So when I'm in a low tuning like that, you can't just use standard 9 to 42 strings because they're loose as heck. So I had on there like 12 to 56, I think is what it was. Anyways, whenever I was putting it back into standard, because of that, the tension was different. So whenever I put 9 to 42 strings on here, the tension was different. So you have to adjust the springs in the back as well. And I also had to have the truss rod adjusted. That's what took me so long, is because I didn't have a correct Allen wrench here to do it. And I had to run to the store and I bought a thing of Allen wrenches. I came back and I didn't have the size I needed in it, of course. So I had to go back again and get the correct one. That's really what took the most time. But anyways, yeah, that's just some, downfalls to owning a Floyd Rose. But there are some tricks that I've learned over the years of owning one, and one of them is, leaving the ball ends of the strings on there. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, see, I leave the string ball ends on there, and, I'll pull the string pretty tight, and then I'll cut them back here. That way there's not a lot of slack in them, because you don't really have to wrap it a ton of times when you leave the ball ends on, I put it backwards, and I can't remember where I learned that. It was either like Steve Vai's Guitar Tech maybe did a video, or it might have been Austin, the other guitar player that used to be in Lorarium. He might have shown me that. I honestly can't remember. But anyways, that's one way I cut some time down when restringing my Floyd Rose. But that's the standard floating trim, and it does have those disadvantages, but also, once you get it in tune, it's like, it stays in tune way better than just a standard hardtail or anything like that. I mean, not an Evertune. An Evertune would stay in tune probably immensely better, but I'm speaking out my arse a little bit on that because I've never owned an Evertune, but from what I've heard, they're pretty awesome. But you can't do dive bombs and squealies on them. And, that's another pro to having a Floyd Rose. You can dive bomb forward, you can go all the way down, or you can go backwards and raise the pitch. So, that's like one of the main things of owning a Floyd Rose, why you might want one. But anyways, I'm gonna show you my other Floyd Rose now on my Strat because it's a little different. Okay, so this is my Strat, and the Floyd Rose that I have on here, as you can tell, it just sits on top of the body, so you can't go backwards. but you can still do the dive bombs forward. And I have a little detune on here. So this thing right here, if you pull it out, it puts it in drop D or really close. It gets you really close. It's not ever exact. I always have to use the fine tuner to get it right on. And then you push it back in and it puts you back in standard. That's the idea anyways. And yeah, I actually prefer this style of Floyd Rose better because like, yeah, I can't go backwards, but whenever I change strings or if I'm not changing gauge too crazy, to like some crazy gauge that's gonna pull it off of the body, then I don't ever have to adjust the springs because it just sits on top anyways. And I still do leave the ball ends on this one as well. But yeah, you just put the strings in, and that's pretty much it. It's like it's not quite as easy as a hardtail bridge, but it's definitely easier than the other one, you know. But same thing with that other guitar. As long as you're using the same gauge of strings and everything, it typically doesn't have to have the strings adjusted or anything, you know, not if you do it right. But, you know, it's when you start changing string gauge and doing different tunings and all that, it becomes a little more problematic. And I also mentioned on that one that whenever I changed the string gauges and all that I had to have the truss rod adjusted as well. That goes for pretty much any guitar. If you're changing from 9 to 42s to, you know, 12 to 56, I think, or 12 to 52. I can't remember what it was. It's something like that I had on there. When you switch that drastically, even on a hardtail bridge, you're going to have to adjust the truss rod because the string tension is, you know, there's more string tension, so it's going to make the neck bow a little bit, or if you're going from a heavy gauge to a lighter gauge, the neck's gonna go this way. And so anyways, I just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, so there's some pros and cons of owning a Floyd Rose. You know, honestly, if you don't feel comfortable being able to set up one, and it looks like very daunting, which it was at first when I first ever got one, which has been years ago now, then, you know, maybe a hardtail is for you. But also, if you want to do the dive bombs and the squeals and all that backwards and virtually stay in tune all the time, then, you know, it's worth learning how to set them up, because then, you know, you can play any guitar that you want. If you see a guitar you like, oh, I'll buy that one, because now you already know how to set it up, so it doesn't matter. But there are other bridges as well that are worth having if you want to have some of the features of you know, a Floyd Rose, but you don't want to have the setup. There's like Wilkinson bridges and stuff like that, you know, are pretty great as well. You know, you can even put a roller nut in and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I hope this helps you decide whether or not you want one, I guess. It's never going to be as easy as setting up a hardtail guitar. It's just not. But if you want something that's, you know, got a Floyd Rose and you don't care about having the squeals going backwards and all that, then, you know, try like a top mount sitting one like this. Because I'll tell you right now, it's the one I prefer. I love this guitar. I like playing it more than any other guitar I have. So anyways, yeah, just a fun little video for you. We'll see you next time.